Hey everyone, it is Amy Carlson, the Toxin Terminator. I am so glad we are here with you. And if you are joining us live, I want you to make sure you comment down below and tell us where you are watching from. And you guys can ask your questions. I've got Jen and Willy Williamson, who I had the privilege of meeting about, what was it, 6 weeks ago? Out in Virginia Beach, and they are an amazing couple doing amazing things. They I'll let you guys tell about what you guys do with the Unshakeable family. I want to make sure we get this going, but tell everybody a little bit about yourselves and why you started the Unshakeable family, and we'll get into what we've got coming up because it's so exciting.
So Amy, first of all, thank you so much for having us both here. And, just like you talk about like not having your home toxic, and you talk about like the materials and the cleaning materials, and like you're so good with that. We really talk about the emotional side of it and the communication, the mindsets and the habits. So I started learning about this close to 20 years ago, trying to save my family. We were going through a really hard time. Our twins were young, and we had a great marriage, and then parenting was really just we weren't fighting well. We were toxic.
Yeah, we had to clean it up, so we did.
Yeah, and it's taken, almost 2 decades, like just of us continuously learning and growing and just refining, and now we get to just share it in a easy package, just the framework and the tools, so people can, it only takes one person for somebody to completely change their whole family dynamics, whether it's their relationship with their spouse or with their children. And we're teaching that. And we have a free workshop starting next Monday where I'm going to teach some of the hidden barriers, the blind spots, and also some super easy tools. And it's actually fun.
That I love it. I'm scrolling the Unshakeable family underneath our live broadcast here because that is the Facebook group that Jen and Willy started. They post everything in there, and there are wonderful, wonderful videos that they've done, really talking about their journey. And I want to talk because we're just coming out of, some of us are coming out of, some of us are still in the midst of such a tumultuous time this year. And what better timing, as we head back into whatever the school year is going to look like for people. But we have been, kind of put into these spots where we're face to face with each other more than ever. And maybe that was a real trying time for a lot of people. Where you have to spend 24/7 with each other. You're not going away to the office. The kids aren't getting out of the house and going to school. And there's that separation and kind of that breathing time. What do you guys recommend? I mean, what is like, okay, here's like some top tips. And I know we're going to learn a lot in our program coming up starting on September 4th, but 14th, if you can give people, this is like top 3 things that really made a huge impact for us and our family.
Okay, good one. Well, you want me to speak into that?
Yeah, you go ahead. You kick it off.
So really getting morning momentum, having a morning routine that works for you is huge. And when you fill yourself with really good things, positive things, and you start your day with completion energy, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So literally from the moment you open up your eyes, being aware of what you're doing, how you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And it's not just like the actions, it's how are you being as you go through them. So morning routines is huge. Also, and I'm just going to make this super simple, speaking in solutions. So many people are so tied to their problems. That's like, for you, that's like me saying, I'm using bleach on my counters every day. I'm using bleach on my counters every day. I'm using bleach on my counters every day. Rather than going into the solution, like you have all these incredible products. So focusing on solutions, not problems, with communication is huge. And also really being the gatekeeper for your eyes and your ears. Like we are in a pandemic. We are in unprecedented times. We get to like, I am so careful. We both are with what we look at and what we hear, and it seeps in. I mean, as much as we want to live in a bubble, we don't. And that was really one of the last pieces for you to really get to the next level with your, what we call the emotional immune system. So
yeah, it's been quite a journey for me, because Jen really, like she says, it takes one person to change the entire dynamic of your family. And to be perfectly honest, I was resistant to a lot of this stuff. I just, she kept saying, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I was resistant to it. Yeah. And once I started to really see how she was navigating her own walk and her mind, and then it kind of pulled the rest of us in. She took a stand for our family, and the rest of us kind of followed in behind her and started to understand and implement the things that she was doing herself. She led us. And so we started bringing in the morning routines. We started bringing in the habits and the things that build, like she says, a strong emotional immune system. And for me, the final piece of the puzzle was that I was still having difficulties because I was so tuned into the news. I was like a news junkie, and how can you be positive? How can you feel good? How can you be that bright light for your family when you're consuming all of this negative, toxic information constantly? And once, honestly, it was like a drug. I cut it out of my life, and I just kept wanting to go back. I kept wanting to, I needed to see what's going on. And I came to this realization that, what is it that I'm getting from this? Like, okay, so maybe I know what's going on, or maybe I believe what they're telling me on TV, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But it's really affecting me, and it's affecting how I'm showing up for my family. And so that was the final piece of the puzzle. Once I really kind of just got rid of that, I started to completely change. I started to feel different, started to feel more positive, and I started to see more opportunity. And like Jen says, focus on the solutions. Yeah. And it was a huge turning point, game changer for us.
Yeah, it really was. And the thing is, it literally takes one person to change the dynamics of the family, but it also took me learning the communication so it would land and not speak in a way like you're broken. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot to learn on my journey, but I knew energetically that we as a family got to shift. And there's a saying that I have: it only takes one person to stink up the room. Everybody with a family can understand that. One person to stink up the room. And it's our decision if we choose to smell it or not.
No kidding.
So, I mean, ideally, I wanted him to do this last piece of building the emotional immune system. But until that was done, because my emotional immune system was so strong, I was choosing not to smell it and to stay in my power and to keep healthy myself.
Yeah, I love that. I always tell people, well, for me, one of my biggest struggles is stress. And I know when I'm dealing with a lot of stress, it's because I'm trying to control people, places, and things. And if I'm in that mode and I'm not focused on where it needs to be, me and him, up above, he's the one in control, not me. So I need to give that, those reins back over, and learning that my actions, my words, that's all I can do is what's in here. And that you can't play tennis and ping pong with just one person. So if I change what I'm saying, what my thoughts are, which are going to dictate what my actions become, then I can, certainly change what the dynamic in that family unit. I love it. I just love that, we start, with the one.
Yeah. It's so liberating. It's so liberating when people understand their power too, because it's not just having your family dynamics great, which is so incredible and so life-changing, but it's also powerful. One of the women that I coach, she's she supports a very powerful husband, and with a really big position.
Mm-hmm.
And she's realizing her power.
Yeah.
And she does it in her way. And it's really just so beautiful. So I don't believe that people get to read a book and learn morning routines, because I've read every single one of them. What I believe is that we get to learn how to stack and build it onto what we're doing subconsciously anyway, what's natural for you anyway. Right. And we get to intentionally stack and build. And it's just beautiful. I mean, you've witnessed the differences when you change your morning routine.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's transformational.
Mm-hmm.
You can take any one of these things that Jen is talking about, implement one of them, and see massive changes.
Oh.
When you start to put them together, it's amazing, the results. And I can tell you that if I don't do my morning routine, she knows it. And she's like, "You're off today. What's up? Did you do your routine?" I'm usually like, "Oh man, you know what? I skipped it." Because when you take the time and intentionally ground in your day, you ground in your way of being, it really just carries over through the rest of your day, and you tackle things in a very different manner than when you just get up right to your email, your social media, whatever. That's what starts to guide you. So you almost have to guide yourself and then bring things in according to the way that you want to drive that day.
Yeah, it's really about starting your day first thing, being proactive, not reactive, and garbage in, garbage out. If we're allowing garbage here, it goes into our hearts. Like our eyes and our ears are portholes to our heart. And then our tongue is a reflection of what's going on in our heart. And the tongue is really the sneaky one, because not only do we order the complaint, to God, mm-hmm. we get it again, but it also goes back in our ears and back in our heart. It keeps looping. So it's a game changer when people really get this and shift, and then they get to lead their family and shift them as well.
Yeah. And I love that, because, you were talking about empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and Willy, sorry, we're going to go to the ladies for just a moment, but I think so many times us women, we feel like we're the nurturers and the caregivers, and we're always looking out for everybody else. And mm-hmm. we forget to look out for ourselves. And I think sometimes we don't realize that we're worth it. And, and really to step into that worth and know, how are you going to be a good child of God, a good wife, a good mother, a good whatever other roles that you're stepping into, if you're not first feeding your soul, if you're not first, doing what is nurturing to yourself, and that's where you guys started.
Well, you're so right. And it's, so we always hear put the oxygen mask on first, right?
Yeah.
We always hear that, but I'm going to take it one step further. We don't put on the oxygen mask so we can live. We put on the oxygen mask so we can give to other people endlessly. When we do things truly for other people, and even putting on that oxygen mask is for, like, I teach people how to live their lives in overflow. Yeah. When we overflow, it is so easy to give and to be patient and to be loving and to be generous. It's so easy. But if we are in a deficiency, how can you give if you're empty?
Right.
I mean, the best thing that Willy can do for our family is go skateboarding, go surfing, go on motorcycle trips. Like, literally, it is the best thing that he can do for our family. It is not about being selfish.
Right.
It is like, wow.
Yeah.
That charges me up to the point that I come back from a trip, or I come back from like Jen said, a skate session or whatever, and I just feel so full that I'm just beaming, and then I'm just giving to my kids. I'm giving to Jen. So yeah, she's right. She's definitely onto something with that.
Absolutely. I always heard the best way out of self is to get into service of others, and which is so true, that, by being of service to others, we're not into ourselves, which is, there's self-care, but then there's being self-absorbed, and I think we've got to get out into service of others. Talk to us about the challenge that's coming up and what people can expect to see with this challenge and what you're going to walk them through. I'm so excited for it.
With the free workshop?
Yes. I guess I'm calling it challenge. I apologize.
No, thank you for asking. I'm so excited. So we're going to be talking about some of the hidden barriers that we all have blind spots. We all have blind spots, myself included. And we are going to be talking about some of the hidden barriers that are keeping people from truly creating and having the family that they want. And then we're also going to be spending quite a bit of time. 2 of the 4 days are going to be speaking about when we are triggered, when we have, we have stimulus and have our response. We have the problem and we have our reaction. And so anyway, we're going to be spending some time talking about that. And along with that is you are going to know what your default animal is. And when we are triggered, we become an animal. And as a little preview, I'm a porcupine and
I'm a skunk.
I love it.
Learn what your default animal is. And it's, you know what it does? It actually brings humor to like situations that would normally be like, it brings a lot of humor to quote unquote conflict. And then when we have that levity involved, it's not so serious. And then we have the tools to completely shift our brain. And we go into a little bit of the neuroscience, kind of the one-on-one neuroscience about what's going on. So people really understand it's just a hack. It's a trigger hack.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Amy. I was just going to say it's going to be a week of really just giving. We're just putting out the information, the stuff that's taken us, our lifetime to understand, comprehend, learn about, and then put it out there so people can really take these tools and implement them into their lives and start to see real positive changes right away.
And the interesting thing is, it's like the tide that raises all ships. When people really improve their home life and start adopting our tools, they find that they're making more money at work. It's just their health is getting better. I mean, one of the guys just lost 16 pounds. And we really also talk about, so let's say this is where your life is and this is where you want it to be. Really, the bridge is in your habits. So we teach the habits, the mindset, and the communication. But that's where it is. So when people really understand the power of that, it's like life goes to a whole nother level, not just with the family. I mean, I could teach this to it's the same thing for entrepreneurs.
Right.
It's the same thing for weight loss. I'm not a nutritionist, but I can tell you, I have so many people who have lost weight on my program as well. So it's cool.
I love unintentional side benefits. These are amazing when you get, and it's so true. And here's the thing. When I met Jen and Willy 6 weeks ago, I think that was back in July, it was, you meet people and you just see the radiance coming out of their soul. It's in their face, it's in their eyes. It's just, you see that. And so I know these are 2 people who have done the work. They've changed their mindset. They've made, intentional habits to really create the life of their dreams and their families, dreams as well. And I just knew, I wanted to connect. I wanted to make sure that our paths continue to cross as we go forward. And when you came up with this workshop and I was watching it through your group, I thought, I need to bring this to my community because it's so needed. It's not just for family, it's for self too, right?
It is. And, you and I are so in alignment because we are really about focusing on the home, and I love what you're doing with the talking and bringing the awareness. You educated us so much in our short time that we had together, and we made changes because of you. And we're very thankful for that. And we talk about more of the emotional toxics that comes into the home really through us. And so we can either be super, super healthy and healing and have what I call a very strong, healthy emotional immune system, or we can be weak and empty and contagious with it as well. We are contagious.
Yeah.
It's so true, Amy, and it's fascinating because, as the toxin terminator, with what you do, you're getting the physical, toxins out of people's homes. And we get the same things in our minds through, like Jen said, what we consume through our eyes, our ears, what we watch, who we surround ourselves by. And so our focus is to get the toxins out of our heads,
right,
clear ourselves so that we're open and more intentional in how we live.
And it benefits the whole family. This isn't just about our relationship. Our twins that are 21 years old, I mean, you met them. They're bright lights. They're thriving, and they're behind this. They actually, it's all four of us that do the Unshakable family. So it's not one of us. It's truly all four of us. We don't have a single person that gets paid. It's us. And I've never ever once heard anybody in my family complain or sigh about doing anything, because we know the work works, and we know that God has actually had us in this work before a pandemic, and it's needed now more than ever.
Yeah. I love it when what we're most passionate. Well, I don't think that it's by coincidence that we're most passionate about things. I truly believe that God created each and every one of us for a purpose, and when we fall into that purpose, opportunities just open up, and the pathways just are there, and it all falls into place, and you meet and connect with who you're supposed to meet and connect with, as you're stepping into that purpose and will of His for your life. Truly, I met all four of you, and it couldn't be a better purpose. He's got the ultimate plan, and we just have to step into it, because you guys are just awesome. With your message and your love for each other, and it just is felt, so felt.
Well, and it wasn't always like that. I mean, we hardly made it. I mean, we hardly made it. And, we're living proof. And, my goal is to save people years, decades.
Yes.
Hit the easy button, because guess what? The framework and the tools are actually so simple.
Yeah, it is. And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Jen and Willy Williamson of the Unshakable family. I'm scrolling the name of their Facebook group, which they've got a completely free workshop. It's 5 days. It's starting September 14th. It is during the noon hour Eastern Standard Time. So it's 40 minutes every day that they're sharing the tools truly of how you can really have that family life that you desire and dream of, correct?
Non-toxic, yes.
That's it, Amy. I'll tell you, for so long, I had my focus misplaced in my life, which led to a lot of the issues that we had in our marriage, which was I was focused on my career. I was focused on making money. I was focused on all these things, and, was allowing my family, my home life, my marriage to suffer as a result of where I was focused and what I was focused on. And, I came to this realization that, what's the point of all this? Why am I doing all of this if it's not for my family and these relationships that truly mean more than anything in the world? I'm letting that suffer to chase something else. It's ridiculous. So it was gaining that insight and that clarity to, truly what matters in this world, put my energy into that. And since I've done that, since Jen took a stand for the family, we figured this stuff out. It has just been a game changer. And the crazy part is, as I focused on my family and really found peace at home in that foundation, the business part of it really starts to do even better. So amazing how things get momentum and carry in a positive way.
Yeah.
I think there are so many people living lives right now where, and me too, we all come from a story, right? We all do what we do because we went through, and it's like, oh, we need to share this out so that others don't have to go through all the hardships that we went through. We're like parents out to the community, right? We don't want our kids to have to go through the things. But, you talked about, the people who are most important. I think there's so many people who live in this where they say, this is what's important to me. My family is important to me. Yet their actions, are saying a completely different thing. And I had to really resonate with this past summer, where I always said my family is so important. I've got 12 grandkids, and they're real important to me. But yet we're taken off for half of the year and not around the action saying,
Yeah.
oh, that
We
was a big sock in the
can
gut.
When we live intentionally, like you do, you become congruent.
Yeah.
Like your vision for what you want and your actions, they all get to be in alignment.
Yeah.
Everything gets to be in alignment.
Yeah.
Powerful. That's thank you for sharing that.
Well, yeah, because my husband and I both looked at each other and said, ooh, this isn't living with what our intention is and what our goal and objective is at all, so we put in a plan of action to, modify and change that. But we have to be able to step back and look at, what are we saying to ourselves is important, but then what are we out there doing?
Yeah.
There's one thing to, what do they say about intentions? Isn't there like some sort of saying about that?
100% intention, zero mechanism. It's like really all about intention. So back to like what you're talking about with the grandchildren, last weekend, or not last weekend, 2 weekends ago, we moved Willy's mom out of the house that she's been in for 30 years. And like we went in with the intention that this move was going to feel like a vacation. Like we were like, this is family bonding. We're going to find a handful of great restaurants while we're there. And like we had as much fun moving Willy's mom out of this house as any vacation that we take.
Yeah, after the weekend, I mean, I'm telling you, we were like moving boxes and loading stuff in truck and cleaning, and it was a move.
Yeah.
And after the weekend, the kids were like, "Thanks for such a cool weekend. It was amazing." We're like, "Anytime, guys."
But we were like, you and I had the conversation, like, and then we had it with the kids, like we were so intentional about the way we were going to show up, and we were anchored in being in alignment with our intention, with our words, and just everything. I mean, we even listened to a fantastic podcast on the way there, and it was, yeah.
It was wild because I've got my personality that I am by just genetically, and I'm called a driver. I just push, I make things happen. And so for me, taking time to eat is like, wait a minute, we need to do this. I got 20 boxes over here. And like, I'm trying to like push and make things happen. And I really had to step back and go, is it about moving 20 boxes or is it about making a special memory with my family? And once I was able to shift and adopt that headspace, I mean, we would go out to lunch, we would have so much fun, and who cares if it took another half hour or an hour or whatever, that was more important than moving the boxes.
Yeah.
And that's what created that dynamic that my kids and my mom and everyone really just felt like, wow, this was a cool experience. This was fun. And had I focused on those boxes, it could have been like just pure misery.
Right.
It was
so Willy's a retired Navy pilot. So he's all about, I get to do the mission. I mean, he's all about that. And yeah, checklist, checking the box, move on to the next. And I really watched you like shift, because the kids were like, I'm gonna take a shower, literally like 10 minutes because they were gonna see their cousins. And I like watched your eyes, and then you were like, okay. So big picture, everybody showered, everybody feels great when they meet the cousins, and we maybe packed 2 boxes less.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I love this. And again, I think your workshop is going to impact so many lives. It's free. We're going to go to the Unshakeable family on Facebook. It's going to happen every day at noon Eastern Standard Time for 40 minutes. This is truly a decision that you will not regret. This is something we're all about, removing toxins, and Jen and Willy are going to help you remove those emotional toxins. And really, I love that boosting the emotional immune system. And we know in this community that if we don't have physical immune health, we're certainly not going to have emotional immune health. So they're absolutely tied together. And this is an opportunity for you to get in and learn for free. Any final thoughts you want to leave with our listeners? And know that Jen and Willy will be on in the group. So if you do have questions that you didn't get on live with us, please feel free to ask, and we will moderate this and make sure that we come back and give those answers.
Yeah, thank you. Anything that you want to add, Will?
Just thanks for what you're doing, Amy. Thanks for having us on, and it's really been so much fun. It's been a pleasure, and we're both getting rid of toxins in our own ways. And there's not a completion. It's a work in progress. We're all just constantly refining and getting better. So thanks for the opportunity to share with your audience, and hopefully they'll get some good information from our workshop.
Yeah, and the framework that we actually go into in our group coaching program is called Be Unshakable, because if you want an unshakable family, you get to be unshakable. But we're just teaching the framework. And, we do, like Willy said, we get to stay in that work, but the framework makes it so easy. The tools are always there. So
I love that. Thank you so much for your guys' time.
I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. You're making such a difference, especially people are in their homes more than ever now. This can be a healthy space, both like physically, chemically, and emotionally. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.